Please lock the doors, call in the absent members so that we may proceed with this evening's business. Roll.
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Benoit, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Ducheney, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee. A quorum is present.
Members, a quorum is present. Senator Ducheney, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. To lift the call on file item 105.
Secretary, please call the roll on file item 105. Call the absent members.
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Benoit, Cogdill, Corbett, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Liu, I, Maldonado, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Weiland.
Ayes 11, noes 8 on the urgency. Ayes 11, no 8 on the measure. The measure fails.
Madam
The
Chair.
urgency fails.
Thank you very much. Madam President, I'd like to invoke Joint Rule 23.5 and strike the urgency clause. Take the bill up in mock-up form.
The bill will be taken up in mock-up form as soon as it is made available. Members, we have 3 assembly bills. We don't know if we have floor managers, but we have 3 assembly bills that are eligible to be wharfed to the floor. These are AB 1383, AB 1329. We understand that Senator Smidian is the floor manager for 1329, and Senate Bill 400. Okay, these 3 measures are eligible to be taken up now, wharfed to the floor. Do we have floor managers for 1383? And then, of course, SB 400 is ready. Senator Alquist, are you prepared to take up AB 1383 at this time?
In 1 minute, I would be prepared.
Well, hold on that for a moment.
Could we pass temporarily for 3 minutes?
Sure, we'll come back to you, Senator Alquist. Members, we have received 10 Senate bills from the Assembly. The desk is going to compile a supplemental file. It will take a few minutes to put those together. Please do not leave the chamber. We will be ready to go in just a little bit. Senator Weiland, for what purpose do you rise?
Motions and motions and resolutions.
Under motions and resolutions.
Madam President, Senators, I'd like to request permission to submit a letter to the Journal regarding Assembly Bill 985 5.
Please bring the letter to the desk.
Thank you.
Senator DeSaulnier, for what purpose do you rise?
Madam President, on motions and resolutions, I'd like to move AB 1514 Hayashi to the inactive file.
The desk will note 1514. Senator DeSaulnier, do you have a file item? File item 53? File item 53 moved to the inactive file. Thank you, Senator Harman. Watchful eyes. Senator Simidian. Senator Calderon, for what purpose do you rise?
I'd like to take up item 25, SB 291.
File item 25, SB 291. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 291 by Senator Calderon, an act relating to insurance and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, as amended in the Assembly, 291 provides an update to California's mortgage insurance regulatory statute that's similar to the legislation being undertaken in other states and under the guidance of insurance regulators across the nation. SB 291 provides the opportunity for the insurance commissioner to undertake a detailed financial examination of a mortgage insurer prior to any requirement that such an insurer cease writing new business in California. This bill is consistent with the insurance commissioner's current authority over the financial regulation of all lines of insurance. SB 291 has no opposition. The bill has received no negative votes. Respectfully, I ask for your vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo?
Majority.
Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero?
Aye.
Aye. Runner? Aye. Simidian? Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee.
Call the absent members.
Onnested? Cedillo? Flores? Oropesa? Padilla? Simidian? Steinberg? Wiggins? Wright? Yee. Simidian, aye.
Ayes 31, no 0. The amendments are concurred in. Senator Corbett is prepared to take up Senate Bill 400, Wharf to the floor. Senate Bill 400. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 400 by Senator Corbett, an act relating to tobacco.
Good evening, Madam President and Senators. Senate Bill 400 updates the Stop Tobacco Access to Kids Enforcement Act and the Health and Safety Code to stop the sale of electronic cigarettes until they are approved by the FDA. Those of you on the Health Committee heard the bill this afternoon and had an opportunity to hear that this is a product that is, because it's a new technology, it is not yet regulated by the FDA, yet they are electronic cigarettes that they're completely unregulated and will be illegal until the FDA has the opportunity to comprehensively study the effects of this product. The bill has no known opposition and has not been opposed by the tobacco industry. It is supported by the CMA, the California Tobacco Control Alliance, and Breathe California. Thank you very much, Madam President, and ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? I, Ashburn. No, Benoit. No, Calderon. No, Cedillo. Cogdill. No, Corbett. I, Correa. Cox. No, Denham. No, DeSaulnier. I, Ducheney. Dutton. No, Flores. Hancock. I, Harmon. No, Hollingsworth. No, Huff. No, Kehoe. I, Leno. I, Liu. I, Lowenthal. I, Maldonado. I, Negrete McLeod. I, Oropesa. Padilla. Pavley. I, Price. I, Romero.
Aye.
I, Runner. No, Smidian. I, Steinberg. Strickland. No, Walters. No, Wiggins. Wolk. I, Wright. Wyland. No, Yee.
Call the absent members.
Correa, aye. Onnested. Cedillo. Ducheney. Flores. Oropesa. Padilla. Steinberg. Wiggins. Wright. Yee.
Ayes 16, noes 14. Senator Corbett moves a call. Members, it will just be a few more minutes until we get the supplemental file. Senator DeSaulnier, for what purpose do you waive that piece of paper?
Motions and resolutions, Madam President. I'd like to move file item 52, AB 1060, Delatorre, to the inactive file at the request of the author.
File item 52 is moved to the inactive file. Senator Calderon.
Motions and resolutions. Request to take up ACR 94 without reference to file. Oh, you don't have it yet.
We do not yet have that item.
Cavalry is here.
Senator Calderon, for what purpose do you rise?
To take up ACR 94.
ACR 94. Without objection, Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 94 by Assemblymember Charles Calderon relative to the CHP Officer Joseph P. Sanders Memorial Highway.
Madam President, members, yet another fallen CHP officer in our district, Officer Joseph P. Sanders. We would like to name a portion of the State Route 60 in my district after him. Officer Sanders was tragically killed in the line of duty while directing traffic at a collision site in a portion of the freeway in my district in Hacienda Heights. He leaves behind his wife, Tandria Bryn Myrick, and 5 children, Trenton, John, Silas, Savannah, and Elizabeth. Please help me honor his memory by approving ACR 94.
Is there any discussion or debate? Is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 40, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Members, we are going to lift the call on 3 majority vote items. The first is file item 72. File item 72. Call the absent members.
DeCheney, Padilla.
Senator Leno replaces the call. Ayes 19, noes 19. Senator Leno replaces the call. File item 83. Call the absent members.
Flores, Liu, Padilla, Steinberg.
Ayes
Move
18.
a call. Oh, Arna.
Ayes 18, noes 18. Senator Hancock replaces the call.
Thank you.
File item, the warped calendar, SB 400. Call the absent members.
Onnested, Cedillo, DeCheney, Flores, Oropesa, Padilla, Steinberg, Wiggins, Wright, Yee.
Ayes 16, noes 14. Senator Corbett replaces the call. File item 95. Call the absent members.
Cogdill, DeCheney, Hancock, I, Leno, I, Oropesa, Padilla, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, no, Wolk, I, Wyland. Wyland, no. Strickland, no. Cogdill, no.
Call the absent members.
DeCheney, Oropesa, Padilla, Steinberg.
Ayes 19, noes 17. Senator DeSaulnier replaces the call. Senator Negrete McLeod, for what purpose do you rise?
Open up the roll for item 31, SB 599.
File item 31, please lift the call. File item 31.
Onnested, Ashburn, Benoit, Cogdill, I. Cogdill, I to know. Cox, Denham, DeCheney, Dutton, Hancock, I, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Liu, Maldonado, Oropesa, Pavley, Runner, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wyland.
Ayes 20, noes 1 on the urgency. Ayes 20, noes 1 on the measure. Senator Negrete McLeod replaces the call. Senator Semidian, are you prepared to take up file item 84? That's AB 64. You are the floor manager for Assemblymember Krikorian. Pass temporarily. Members, the supplemental file is available. It's being distributed on the desk. I have been informed by Senator Harman that it may take about 20 minutes for the Republicans to do their analysis on this supplemental file. Senator Wolk, for what purpose do you rise?
I'm sorry, I think that applied to me. SB 402, we're waiting for the analyses then for the Republicans?
On the supplemental file, we are going to wait about 20 minutes so the Republicans can complete their analyses. We are going to just remain in the chamber. Please do not leave. We'll go ahead and just wait for that analysis to be completed.
A requirement for the Energy Commission to determine whether the credits satisfy applicable legal requirements and ensures the language ensures that AQMD has sufficient credits for this facility, as well as essential public services, small businesses, and other facilities that are looking to repower and upgrade. Ask for your aye vote.
Senator Benoit.
Thank you, Madam President. Briefly, members, let me just reiterate that this is an extremely important bill. It's got bipartisan support. I appreciate Senator Duchesne, Assemblyman Perez, Assemblymember Nastandi, and I are all co-authors. It is time that we get by some of these roadblocks that are keeping us from putting people back to work in the economy of today. That the And secondarily, that we prepare ourselves for the years when we don't have enough power, because we are getting behind the curve on building clean power to back up renewable power. So I urge an aye vote on this very important measure for California.
Is there any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator Duchesne, you may close. Senator Duchesne, mics.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Again, this is an important bill to keep our economy moving, to allow these important projects to go forward. Ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, Senator Harman on this item.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. For my Republican colleagues, our laptops indicate it's a 27-vote bill, but it's actually a 21-vote bill. Thank you.
Actually, that's a bipartisan computer. I believe all the computers indicate it is a 27-vote bill. The urgency was stripped. It is a 21 majority vote bill. Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Duchesne? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Hancock? Harman? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Romero? Runner? Aye. Smidian? Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? No. Wolk? Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, no.
Call the absent members.
Onnested? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? DeSaulnier? Flores? Hancock? Hollingsworth? Kehoe? Liu? Lowenthal? Oropesa? Pavley? No. Price? Romero? Smidian? Steinberg? Wolk?
Ayes 20, noes 4. Senator Duchesne moves a call. Lift the call, please, on file item 105. Call the absent members.
Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? DeSaulnier? Flores? Hancock? Hollingsworth? Hollingsworth, aye. Kehoe? Liu? Lowenthal? Oropesa? Price? Romero?
Aye.
Aye. Smidian? Steinberg? Wolk? Hancock? No.
Romero, aye to no.
Romero? Aye to no.
Ayes 23, ayes 22, no 6. The bill is passed. Members, we are going to recess the regular session, reconvene the third extraordinary session without objection pursuant to Senate Rule 29.10. Senate Bill 13XXX is referred to the Rules Committee. We will now recess the third extraordinary session and reconvene the regular session. Members, we are waiting for our computers at our desk and at the desk for the Senate to be updated to reflect the contents of the second supplemental file and to do sweeps for 29.10 rules. This will take a few minutes. The desk will notify us when they are ready to proceed by taking up the supplemental file. I would ask you to be ready to go ahead and take a look at the supplemental file. Be prepared to take your item up when your number is called. Senator Onestad, for what purpose do you rise?
Motions and resolutions.
Under motions and resolutions?
I'd just like to say that over across the street, Amber Throne, our Republican business and professions consultant in the Republican caucus, is getting married Sunday to Mr. Bradley Alexander and is anxious for session to wrap up so she can start focusing on a very important event. Amber, congratulations.
Congratulations, Amber. AB 64. Senator Simitian has informed the desk that he is ready to take up AB 64. This is file item 84 on the regular file. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 64 by Assemblymember Krikorian, an act relating to energy.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I am pleased to present Assembly Bill 64 by Assemblymember Krikorian. It's the counterpart to Senate Bill 14, which is jointly authored by Senator Steinberg, Senator Padilla, Senator Kehoe, and myself, establishing a 33% renewable portfolio standard by 2020. This measure is an integral part of our aspiration to generate 33% of our electricity from renewable resources by the year 2020. While Senate Bill 14, the other vehicle, contains the rates and dates that specify the pace of our achievement and lay out the rules for the program, this measure helps pave the road on the way to those goals. The bill contains several important key provisions that complement SB 14. They are measures designed to streamline the process of siting, transmission, and generation at the Fish and Game Department and an internal review team to implement measures to accelerate the environmental review work performed by the department and make sure that our state's renewable projects move forward on a timely basis. This measure also provides front-stop recovery at the PUC for proposed renewable transmission lines that are pending approval to ensure that project proponents are not sinking money into a project whose economic impact is unknown. The measure also requires the ISO to coordinate with other balancing authorities to reduce duplicative effort and avoid conflict, work together to get us there by 2020, and requires the PUC to streamline its processes for transmission approval to get steel in the ground for necessary transmission lines in 18 months. This measure, members, adds language to ensure that the achievement of our renewable goals is compatible with other measures that are energy efficient. The language in the bill requires our state's utilities to plan for our renewable energy future, consider a variety of factors to make prudent use of ratepayer dollars, resource mix, potential costs, economic and environment, and the overall impact of intermittence on our electricity grid. This measure, in partnership or tandem with SB 14, gets us there. Wide-ranging support. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Senator Strickland.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I rise in support of this measure. This measure is a very complex measure. I don't think it's anywhere near where I would like to see this bill. I do think it's very important that we get to 33% in renewable energy. I think the goals are very noble. However, you know, in some of the provisions like cost containment, this measure has a 6% cost containment. I was hoping for more of what Senator Wright was talking about in terms of more of a 2 or 3% cost containment. There's many provisions of this bill that I think could have gone a lot better in terms of the goals of giving renewable energy companies the tools in order to achieve these goals. Some of being fast-tracking and cut the red tape of the permitting process, the transmission lines. This is a very complex bill, but I think this bill, all in all, takes us forward into a more renewable, energy-efficient economy. And I'm hoping that as we move forward, that we correct some of the things that we fall short on in this bill because this won't be the end in terms of transitioning California into that more renewable energy efficient economy. I just wish we could have got a better product, but when I look at the whole bill as a whole, I rise in support of this measure. Thank you.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of this item, not only as the chair of energy, but one of the joint authors on the companion bill, which is SB 14, that's expected to come back from the Assembly, that, again, together, as Senator Simitian said, not only sets the target for the amount of energy that comes from renewable resources in the state of California at 33% by 2020, but more importantly is the blueprint of how to get there. When Senator Simitian first attempted to accomplish this last session, there was some, I'll take it as constructive criticism of the bill as maybe premature or incomplete, because it wasn't just about setting a number and a time frame, but really recognizing what the processes that are currently in place in the state for renewable energy to come online, and what the impediments are for increasing that volume in a timely way that is not only responsible vis-a-vis our environment, but responsible vis-a-vis ratepayers, consumers, etc. Unlike the first time the renewable energy bills have come through the floor earlier in the year, when a lot of open questions remained and a lot of unresolved issues remained, I would argue that the amount of time the Senate Energy Committee has given this bill, Senator Simitian's bill, Senator Wright's bill, and others that are related, probably break the record for the year for other bills in terms of the scrutiny, the deliberation, the discussion, the debate, and I think through all of that we have crafted amendments to this package that, taken together, reflect some tremendous work product. And it's no shock to me, but very, very impressive to me, that in support of this bill we have two of the major investor-owned utilities in the state, the largest of the municipal utilities in the state, a slew of environmentalists and environmental organizations, organized labor, renewable energy developers of all types, be it wind and solar, etc., a broad coalition that very few people thought could possibly come together in support of a thoughtful, thorough, comprehensive bill package. So that being said, I want to ask for your aye vote and eagerly await SB 14 to come this way from the Assembly.
Senator Benoit.
Thank you, Madam President and members. I rise in opposition, and I appreciate the fact that we have spent a lot of time. I think the chair and Senator Simitian and I and a bunch of other folks have spent probably more time on this bill and in committees than most any other bill this year, for sure, and maybe most bills any year. I think that one thing is clear: we're all for renewable energy. I think that members on both sides of the aisle recognize that this is an issue that we need to move forward on. No question about it. It's not about whether we're for or against renewable energy. This discussion should be about what's the most viable long-term strategy for getting California to have a reliable, competitively priced power supply, which includes as much renewable energy as possible. I personally believe that California should strive to achieve a 33% standard. I voted to make that happen by supporting SB 805 in the Energy Committee. We need a thoughtful, balanced approach to renewable energy, which stimulates rather than stifles our economy. SB 805 came close. This bill does not. California's unemployment rate reached 11.9% in August. In my district in Riverside County, unemployment is at an astounding 14.7%. This legislature's first, second, and third priority should be economic development, jobs, jobs, jobs. Unfortunately, AB 64 and its companion measure, SB 14, do not possess the necessary provisions to protect ratepayers or job creators. These bills are being presented as a package, and I'm going to address them as a package. they are bad for California's economy. The California Public Utilities Commission Division of Ratepayer Advocates has stated that if we are not careful how we structure RPS cost controls as a part of that process, California ratepayers could end up paying $10 billion a year in excess costs for energy and an additional $10 billion for transmission to reach these goals. In our drive to be the greatest and greenest economy in the world, we absolutely need solid cost controls, controls that will allow electrical rates to remain competitive. California manufacturers, if you can find them anymore, they're kind of hard to find, are already paying 40% more for energy than manufacturers anywhere else in the country. Add that to record tax burdens, arguably the strictest environmental and labor laws in the world. Is it any wonder that NIMI and so many others are fleeing California? Ladies and not Mimi. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to look back on this opportunity and see that tonight we crafted a policy that hurt California. I'm terribly worried that these measures, should they become law, have that potential. That these measures could potentially make California the greenest third world economy in the world. The proposed 6% excess cost is completely unreasonable. How can we possibly justify allowing up to 6% or $40 to $50 billion of excess costs to be taken from ratepayers? What does excess cost mean? That's where more dollars are paid for electricity than we would otherwise have to pay absent this policy. Dollars we are going to be forcing ratepayers to pay so that we can claim that we have the most aggressive renewable energy portfolio in the world. California cannot and should not drastically restrict the use of out-of-state power. We need to ensure that we continue to allow renewable and conventional power to flow to California during peak hours of demand. AB 64 and 14 restrict our power options, artificially limiting our sources of renewable energy and conventional energy. This legislation makes renewable energy more difficult to attain and more expensive. I thought the point was to do exactly the opposite. Colleagues, I, like a large majority of Californians, would like to see us use as much energy as renewable energy as possible. And I believe California can lead the nation in renewable energy. We have the resources, the innovation, and the need and the spirit to do that. Unfortunately, what we have before us in these two bills is an extreme approach crafted almost exclusively by special interests that will dramatically and unnecessarily hurt ratepayers with excess costs and further deepen our economic woes. I urge you to consider whether you want to have been noted as supporting this excessively aggressive legislation with so much potential to damage California's economy. The governor has already shown leadership in this issue. He issued a 33% renewable standard in November of 2008. This legislature should act responsibly and place on his desk a balanced legislation that ratepayers, businesses, and hardworking Californians deserve. This is not it. Let's do renewable energy right. I urge a no vote on AB 64.
Senator Dutton.
Madam President and members, I also must rise in opposition. You know, last week we discussed the need to try to keep jobs here in California. Well, this actually will do just the opposite. Believe it or not, low reliability for energy and high cost kills jobs. This type of legislation, especially combined with SB 14, its companion measure, will basically be a deal breaker for companies looking to locate in California. I kid you not. I've been in the business. I know what they're going to be looking at, and this is one of the things that's going to be a deterrent. Now, this sweeping unfunded mandate applies to all utilities, including, my understanding is, including locally governed municipal utilities as well, that have historically been exempt from state interference. And that was our attempt, I think, at deregulation, which didn't go very well either. But also what's even more troubling to me, and I did re-verify this since SB 14 was brought to the floor, just to make sure that I was hearing it right, the Division of Ratepayers Advocates have placed the cost to ratepayers at $10 billion per year. Okay, and that is just not smart business. Because guess what? State of California is also a ratepayer. So we pay a higher utility rate with not getting one more kilowatt of power as a result of these bills. The other thing that will happen to our schools will have a higher cost of operation. Everybody's concerned about money that's in the classroom, into teachers and teachers' materials. Well, this takes money out of there. And once again, it may make you feel good, but I got to tell you, once these businesses continue to go elsewhere, I doubt if China and India are going to sit back and watch this all happen. I don't think you're going to see any effect on greenhouse gases in the world. And that's really what the crying shame is here. I know the intentions are well thought out. I know that you really believe strongly in what you're doing. I'd like to be part of the solution. But this does not do it. You are not going to solve California's problems. You're not going to help the planet if we continue to drive jobs out of California. And this is just another long list of job killers that we've actually been talking about on this floor. I would encourage you reconsider your position on this, and I would urge a no vote.
Senator Simitian, you may close. Senator Wyland.
Madam President, members, just one very quick observation. Scientific studies have shown that about 25% of the particulate emissions in California come from China. China takes our jobs, although they follow none of our environmental regulations. They follow none of our workers' compensation or safety rules. And they follow not even the slightest shred of our environmental rules. They have thrown in our face the notion that they would even consider following the Kyoto standards. And they have some of the dirtiest factories in the world where they don't adopt even the most minimal environmental standards. We ought to just reflect on that as we impose costs on California businesses.
Senator Simitian, you may close.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me again extend my thanks to colleagues on the Assembly side for working on this issue in a bicameral fashion. I wish we had the opportunity to do that more often. The hour is late and getting later, so I'm going to try and be brief in my response and rebuttal, Madam President. Folks, when the cost issue is raised, it's important to remember that Senator Kehoe stood on the floor back in March and shared with us the Senate appropriations analysis that said the potential cost increase was between 3 and 4%. 3 and 4%. And that's if we believe that the cost of fossil fuels is going to remain as low as it is today, notwithstanding the fact that it's a finite resource and there is less and less of it with every passing year, and we use more and more of it with every passing year, which would suggest that the cost of fossil fuels is going to go up. That 3 or 4% was if you believe that there won't be a carbon surcharge on the cost of fossil fuels, even though both our state administration and federal administration have told us that's coming. And that's if you believe that somehow the cost of technology for renewable resources isn't going to come down over the course of the next decade, even though our modern history tells us the cost of technology goes down even as its efficiency goes up. But, Madam President and members, you don't have to take my word for it. We heard you and said, let's put a 6% cost cap in. Members, that's not the floor, that's the ceiling. So even if our reasonable expectations were wide of the mark, we can never go past that number. Now the question is it doable and is it affordable? I told you in March, and I'll tell you again, I've got my letter in the hand from the good folks at the Sacramento Municipal Utility District who tell me they can give me 50% renewables in my apartment here in Sacramento, not in 2020, but right now for an extra $3 a month. That's 50% today. Is it doable? It's doable today. Can it be done by the folks we're asking to get to 33% by 2020? PG&E and Sempra and LADWP, who support the package, say they can and they will. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero?
Aye.
Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? No. Yee?
Call the absent members.
Benoit? No. Cogdill? No. Correa? Kehoe? Aye. Liu? Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Steinberg? Aye. Wright? Yee? Correa, no. Maldonado, aye. Yee, aye.
Ayes 23, noes 14. The bill is passed. Members, without objection, Joint Rule 61A-12 and Joint Rule 62A will be waived in order that the Appropriations Committee might hear Assembly Bill 1188. Members, we're ready to proceed on the second supplemental file. Let's begin at file item 107. Senator Cogdill has informed me this has been made a 2-year bill. File item 108, Senator Runner. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 188 by Senator Runner, an act relating to temporary restraining orders.
Thank you, Madam President and members. This bill just had some technical amendments taken in the Assembly. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 40, noes 0. The amendments are concurred in. File item 109, Senator Lowenthal. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 193 by Senator Lowenthal, an act relating to class size reduction and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Madam President. The Assembly amendments remove the urgency clause. SB 193 would allow a waiver to class size reduction penalties only in a situation where there is a closure or an evacuation and mainland schools would absorb Avalon school pupils. That's on the Catalina Island, resulting in K through 3 class size reduction limits being exceeded. This bill throughout the process has received unanimous support. As you recall, this bill was on special consent. The only thing is the amendments have removed the urgency clause. I ask for an aye vote in concurrence in Assembly amendment.
Is there any discussion or debate? Is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 40, noes 0. The amendments are concurred in. File item 110, Senator Wolk. Passed temporarily. File item 111, Senator Cedillo. Passed temporarily. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 545 by Senator Cedillo, an act relating to transportation.
Members, and particularly before I present the bill, I'd like to thank Senator Huff and Senator Mike Ing. We have worked in a very bipartisan manner for many years. This is an important bill. It's very modest. If you read the bill, it simply says we're not going to build a surface highway. But more important than that, this is like a peace pact that's been worked on after 50 years of incredible battle, lawsuits, disruption, political careers built and lost on this singular issue. This will provide us an opportunity to connect Route 710 with the I-210 in Pasadena. As I said, the words of the legislation are very modest. They simply say we're not going to build a freeway, but what that does is leads us towards building a tunnel, completing a freeway, and creating jobs and creating quality of life for the people of California. And so I want to thank again Senator Huff, Assemblymember Ng, and all those who have worked to help us get this done in a bipartisan fashion. With that, I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Huff.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of this measure. The 710 gap closure is the last remaining segment of the Freeway Master Plan for LA County. It's been successfully held up for over 30 years. This helps take the opposition and removes it down to just one city in the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, in which I used to be active in leadership. It's critical for the region. It cleans up the air significantly. More importantly, it takes a lot of surface transportation off of streets that should never have been there. I urge your aye vote.
Is there any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye.
Ayes 33, noes 1. The amendments are concurred in. Senator Yee, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Request that SB 819 be returned to the Assembly for further action.
Without objection, that measure will be returned to the Assembly for further action. Senator Wolk, file item 110. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 402 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to recycling and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Madam President, SB 402 is an effort to keep the most successful recycling program in California, the Bottle Bill, financially solvent and fully operational. In recent years, over $500 million of the Bottle Bill funding has been loaned to the general fund, which has created a shortfall of over $200 million in the program. On July 1st, the Department of Conservation implemented an 85% reduction in all program funding. Without immediate action by our legislature, California stands to lose thousands of good, green-paying jobs. This bill provides short-term relief for the current fiscal year by accelerating the payment to the department by 30 days and sliding the threshold for the 10-cent CRV from 24 to 20-ounce containers. This bill was put together with broad support from the recycling community, environmental groups, local government, and industry. It was not an easy task, and it received bipartisan support in the Assembly. I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion or debate? Senator Corbett.
Thank you very much. I rise in strong support of this measure as a principal co-author of this bill. This is an issue that I've also been working on for several years, and many people in this House have been working on this very important issue as well. The bill expands the beverage container program to cover beverage containers that were subject to Senate Bill 55, a bill that I was working on a little bit earlier this year. These containers are not being recycled now, and this bill will fix that. I'm also happy to say this bill is very important in that it keeps funding for the Conservation Corps. Those of you who are familiar with the Conservation Corps, this is a very important program that provides job training for our youth. I enthusiastically support this measure.
Senator Runner.
I hope we listened carefully to the author's presentation there, where it was said that we need to do this because the general fund has raided these dollars. And as a result of the general fund taking these dollars, we've got to go back to Californians now and raise the price of not only the old items that were taxed extra for recycling, but we're going to expand the list. I guess that's so that we can raid a larger amount in the future. Now, somebody better help me understand, I guess, the fact that that sounds like a clear tax increase, what we're doing here. It'd be one thing if we were actually raising these dollars in order to then, use these for these programs. But when we raise these dollars so that the general fund can then go and borrow that money, in essence, we continue to go back to the taxpayers and find different ways to nickel and dime them. I ask for a no vote.
Any other discussion or debate? Senator Ducheney.
Just briefly, Madam Chair, I do agree that it's unfortunate that we've had to borrow from this fund, and if certain entities had been able to put their fee authority in place that was statutory earlier, that might not have been necessary. And frankly, had we maintained for the last 5 years the vehicle license fee rates that we paid for the 50 years before 1998, we would not have needed to borrow all those funds. But since many people here do not want to support even our firefighters and others who need additional support, these kinds of borrowings have had to occur over the last several years. This bill will fund those programs. It is not a tax. It is a fee because it is directly related and it is refundable, members. It is not a tax when you can put down the rebate, and if you take the bottle back, you get the 5 cents back. So there is no tax involved in this. It is clearly within the legal parameters of fee. And frankly, it's not even a fee because you get the money back as long as you return and recycle the material. It's a good bill. Members, ask for an aye vote.
Senator Wolk, you may close.
Actually, Senator Ducheney made my close. She did a very good job. I would only like to add that this bill, in addition to everything she said about the fee and the tax issue, the bill was put together with broad support from the recycling community, the environmental groups, local government industry, and will save the program. I ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? No. Negrete McLeod? No. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Who's that? Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Weiland? No. Yee? Yee aye. Smidian aye. Steinberg aye. Kehoe aye. Leno aye. Benoit no. Cogdill no.
Absent members.
Calderon. Dutton. Huff. Oropesa. Strickland. Wright.
Ayes 20, noes 14. Senator Wolk moves a call. Senator Hancock, for what purpose do you rise?
To lift the call on file item 83, AB 920.
please call the absent members.
Flores. Liu. Flores, aye. Padilla. Steinberg. Aye. Padilla, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 18. The bill is passed. Do we have a floor manager for file item 113, Assemblymember Jones? Do we have a floor manager for file item 114, Assemblymember Brownlee? Senator McLeod, for what purpose do you rise?
I rise to take up AB 48, which is, I think, item 70 now on the file.
Secretary, please read. AB 48, file item 70. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 48 by Assemblymember Portantino, an act relating to private post-secondary education and making an appropriation therefore.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this is a bill that I took up yesterday. I am the principal co-author on this bill, and before I start my statement, I want to tell you that those students that are currently in the schools because of the bill, because of the law that went out of existence 2 years ago, those students that are in your district, my district, everybody's district, that are going to schools that are not accredited, because they can't because of the law that failed 2 years ago or just went out of existence, when they graduate, they cannot claim to any employer or any school that they wish to go to any place of employment, that they have an accredited diploma or whatever it is, a certificate from whatever school they go to. So if we don't care about students that are currently in those schools that are not accredited, then vote no on the bill. Otherwise, this bill is back for reconsideration. It establishes the Private Post-Secondary Education Act of 2009, creating a bureau within the Department of Consumer Affairs to regulate the private colleges and enforce student protections. As you know, as many of you may know, in 2007, the prior law regulating private colleges was allowed to expire. This pretty much says just what I said just right now. So for these reasons, I ask for your aye vote. If you truly care about student protection, then please give me an aye vote.
Senator Wyland.
Madam President, members, I rise in strong support of this bill. The reality is, because we do not have career technical education in our high schools, these schools that offer very practical courses have become crucial for many of our young people in getting jobs. This bill may not be perfect, but it was the result of a great deal of negotiation. It has many, many, many protections for the students. And I'd just like to relate some of the disclosures. All schools that offer programs designed to lead to a job are required to disclose the exact salary data collected by the EDD. They have to disclose the actual starting salaries of their graduates. The bill defines placement to include only jobs where the training provided by the institution was required or provided a significant advantage to the student obtaining the position. It creates a tuition recovery fund, a STIRF, to deal with that small number of schools which do go out of business, which do not conform to these standards. This is a really important opportunity for these students to get jobs. And I think it's very, very important that we support this bill. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? No. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? No. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Hancock? No. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? No. Liu? No. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Price? Romero? Runner? Aye. Simidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye.
Call the absent members. We'll call the absent members.
Corbett? No. Corbett? Flores? Lowenthal? Aye. Flores, aye. Oh. Oropesa? Padilla? Price? Romero?
No.
No. Simidian? No. Wiggins? No. Wright?
Ayes 26, no.
Corbett, no.
Ayes 26, noes 10. The bill is passed. Senator Steinberg, do you wish to take up file item 106 on the second supplemental file? File item 106 on the second supplemental file.
Yes.
Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 84 by Senator Steinberg, an act relating to education, finance, and making an appropriation therefore.
Thank you very much. Madam President, I rise in support of this vital bill to give needed assurance to school districts that we will provide them money that they are owed for some of 500 of our most challenged schools serving the neediest children here in California. You remember the history of this. In July, when we reached a budget agreement, the agreement included a funding swap that was designed to help us avoid suspending Prop 98 and also avoid devastating cuts to the non-98 side of the budget. The swap included a nearly $400 million cut in the revenue limits of CUIA districts, and the intent is that that cut be backfilled 1 year by federal funds. There's now some legal question as to whether or not those federal funds can be used as a backfill. So this bill says that we will not cut the revenue limit until we can ascertain that, in fact, that backfill is legal. If it is not, we will be back trying to fill a $400 million hole, but we will do so. Right now, we want to make sure that our schools and our neediest schools have the money they need to move forward. Urge and I vote.
Senator Correa.
Madam President and Senators, I rise in strong support of this so-called
QUIA fix. In essence, this fix will prevent the loss of millions of dollars to many of our school districts. In these tough economic times, school districts have not been spared the pain of these budget cuts. Let's not add additional pain to these economically challenged school districts. I strongly urge an aye vote on this most important measure.
Is there any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero?
Aye.
Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? No. Yee.
Maldonado.
Cogdill? No. Maldonado? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Yee? Aye.
Ayes 25, noes 11. The amendments are concurred in. Members, do we have a floor manager for file item 113 or file item 114 on the second supplemental file? We are going to lift the call on file item 95. File item 95. Call the absent members.
Ducheney? Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Steinberg? Steinberg, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 17. The amendments are concurred in. Senator Wold, for what purpose do you rise?
May I raise the call on item 110, SB 402, please.
File item 110. Please call the absent members.
Calderon? Dutton? Calderon, aye. Dutton? Huff? Oropesa? Aye. Strickland? Right.
Ayes 22, noes 14. The amendments are concurred in. Members, we are going to lift the call on wharfed item Senate Bill 400. Senator Corbett, please call the absent members.
Onnested? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Flores? Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Steinberg? Yee, aye. Wiggins? Aye. Wright? Flores, aye.
Ayes 23, noes 14. The amendments are concurred in. Members, let's lift the call on file item 72. Call the absent members.
DeCheney, Padilla,
Ayes 19, noes 19. Senator Leno replaces the call. Let's lift the call on file item 83. Call the absent members.
Oops.
That item has been dispensed with. Members, we're going to lift the call on file item 98 on supplemental file number 1. File item 98. Please call the absent members.
Ashburn, Benoit, Cogdill, no. DeCheney, aye. Flores, aye. Hollingsworth, no. Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Negrete McLeod, aye. Oropesa, aye. Padilla, aye. Pavley, Price, Runner, Steinberg, aye. Strickland, Walters, no. Ashburn, no. Pavley, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 15. The amendments are concurred in. Members, we are waiting for a new batch of bills to be returned from the Assembly so that we may continue with this evening's business. Our Majority Leader is checking on the status of those bills. Out of our regular session and reconvene the third extraordinary session for purposes of bill introductions and committee reports. Secretary, please read.
The Committee on Rules has referred the following bill to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Communications, Assembly Bill 333X. The Committee on Rules has also referred the following bill to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Communications. Oh. It's the same bill. The title? Senate Bill 58 by Senator Price, an act relating to the developmental services and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Members, we are going to recess the third extraordinary session and reconvene regular session. We are back in regular session. Members, the Pro Tem has called for a Democratic caucus in the Maddie Lounge. Democratic caucus in the Maddie Lounge. Senator Hollingsworth?
And there'll be a Republican caucus in the coffee shop?
Republican caucus in the coffee shop.